Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast, a new episode. Thank you for being patient with us and hanging in there as we re-aired the interview with Robin Johnson as Travis was fast passing his ass off, which bad news, they canceled that. So he wasn't fast passing his ass off, but he was having a good time. And we're back here recording fresh content for this, the 59th episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Travis, first of all, how was Florida? And second of all, how are you doing now that you're not in Florida?
The first part of the first question, Florida was awesome. Had a great time. It was just my wife and I. And so it was kind of it was very cool. We got a place that was really nice. It was actually a 2-bedroom kind of condo thing. And I just somehow found it. It was basically the same price as a hotel would have been, but I would have had to pay parking at the hotel and I didn't have to pay parking. And so it was a really nice, very nice space for us to be in. It had like a balcony and out, you had water and a fountain. And then there were all these pools all around on the facility. And then of course we went to Disney several times and had several awesome meals, different things, different times we went out to eat. And we had great weather, went to Cocoa Beach for a day. Just had an amazing time.
I saw your photo of you at Cocoa Beach, and I got to say I'm jealous. I went to Cocoa Beach, and when I went, it was a hot mess, just filled with dead fish everywhere. But you didn't have that experience. Well, I just remember that picture for the YouTube listener. Here's Travis enjoying just a nice margarita at the beach there. Yeah,
beach hair, don't care.
Beach hair, don't care. And I was gonna comment and say, now, if that's Jeanette's leg, I will buy the beach hair, don't care. But she's really cutting loose. But no, that is Travis there in the picture enjoying a beachfront margarita, it looks like. But it's super envy inspiring on my behalf. Yeah. So yes.
It was second part of your question, definitely just coming back and being back here, had a big long meeting with both my ops and production managers all morning long. Lots of things. They were like, well, let's make a list of the things we want to ask Travis when he gets back. And so that and just, tons of mail and, just all kinds of little things that you got to kind of get back into.
Playing catch up. That's the thing, I feel like even on times when I do go on a vacation, I feel like I don't, because I hear the email reminders and I just know when I get back, whatever day that is, I'm going to be mining through just a plethora of emails. But
I still haven't gotten through all my emails.
Yeah, it's kind of like an endless game of catch up for a couple of days when you're doing that. But it's good to have you back. You were just saying before we pressed record, or not really before we pressed record, it might end up with the credits. You don't have a cough anymore. So that's exciting. Yeah. You're explaining finally last time we recorded in person. And I'm recovering from or still have a sinus infection. I'm not entirely sure. It's been like a week and a half. So if you're listening and wondering if I sound congested, why? That'd be why. So, but it's good to be here. And it's good also, Travis, that both of us have our new toy that we've been talking about quite a bit. The 3070 has arrived. Here it is in your shop right there.
Yeah.
The left there. If you're watching, the 3070 is on the left. And my gosh, it is my new favorite thing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We actually we had a table over there that the 2100 was on, and so we got a new little stand for that, and then we got a little kind of think like teacher cart, like in the room where they can stand up, and there's a slide out keyboard there and a couple monitors. So the monitor on the left is going to feed the 3070, and the monitor on the right is going to feed the 2100. We're still waiting on our tunnel dryer, which will go on the left, and then there'll be a big table in the middle where we'll have just kind of workspace. And the only thing we don't have in this space is like a really cool saying on the wall or something, or an awesome paint job, or whatever.
Yeah,
but no, it's awesome. Exactly.
A mural or something.
Yeah.
I think if you guys have an idea of a saying that would go really good on Travis's production wall there, post it in the group. Let us know. I would love to hear all of your ideas. Again, that's printondemandcast.com/Facebook. Let us know. But yeah, man, I was just telling you before we pressed record, I timed out our 3070. And I'll play a little video here of the unboxing here shortly at our facility as well. Same team that unloaded Travis's, unloaded ours. So as you can see here, just going to town unboxing that bad boy, and then they had to pull it out and reposition it to roll it in. But I was timing a print that we did, the exact same print, exact same size, and the 3070 printed it in 57 seconds ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. The 2100 took 3 minutes and 13 seconds to print. That is just
you paid 60% less in ink.
Oh yeah, which is crazy. So I'm loving that thing. First shirt we printed, I looked at Jason and said, "This is the best thing we've ever produced," and we owe an apology to everyone else because it's just like it is so good. One thing that I will say, and you probably discovered this too, is that old garment creator files from the old garment creator for the 2100, at least for us, they don't come over. So you have to kind of reset up all those jobs and
it's a different program. It's actually, it's like a different program that they created for the 3070. It's because I was actually talking to the garment creator guy today, and he was saying it's because they print actually in different resolutions. That's why they had to kind of create a second
translate.
Yeah, they don't translate, and they had to have a second garment creator program for the 3070, which I guess makes sense,
Yeah, but I mean, I'm loving it, and I look forward to continuing to just see what that thing can do. It is exponentially improved the rate of production. So I mean, that's a great thing as well. So 3070s are fantastic and my new favorite printer in the world. So that's just our little banter there. And before we move on to the weekly dad joke, I do want to take time. We did say that if you guys left us reviews on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, whatever it's called now, that we would shout you out, and we are going to make good on that promise. So here we go. Lorenzo $$44 left on September 24th. 5-star review. He says, clear and honest. Travis and Josiah do a great job breaking down topics within POD and e-commerce. Episodes feature quality guests and informative info. Episode 53, What is Your Why? Was a show that I really enjoyed. So, Lorenzo, thank you so much. Again, reach out to us, Lorenzo, if you're listening to this episode, which I hope you are. Reach out to us through the Facebook group or email, and we'll get you a free shirt because we said that we would. And so let us know what shirt you like. You can go to the merch store, printondemandcast.com/shop, and we can send you your favorite design. But Travis, episode 53 seems to be something, what's your why seems to be an episode that got a lot of traction or really resonated with a lot of the listeners as far as feedback that I'm getting from it.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, someone else posted that in the Facebook group and talked about. We had a little bit of a conversation, kind of on. I think a post. I think I put a post like, "What is your why? Do you know your why?" or whatever, as a response to that episode. And I think a lot of people, were, if not, impacted, a ton. They were at least it caused some people to slow down and think through that. Which, of course, it's a great question to really. To focus on. We won't beat that horse too much harder. If you do want to go back, you can always go back and listen to old episodes. That's episode 53. And you can find all of those on our Anchor site, anchor.fm/print-on-demand-cast. That's probably the easiest way. Our print-on-demand-cast.com site is not very good, and we don't hide that. It's just not been a priority to us. We should probably take some time and maybe
revisit it,
make it better,
make it a little more.
Maybe that's year 2.
Year 2, season 4, a revised website coming to you. It was definitely something that we just kind of threw up out of necessity because we needed a landing page, but we definitely didn't take time to nurture it, and I'm sure we will. And again, shout out to Matthew Markworth, who posted in the group talking about that same episode 53, talking about he knew his why in a corporate setting, but somehow writing it down formally in a self-employed setting had escaped him. So it was a very valuable exercise. So again, episode 53, what is your why? Go check it out, and then let us know. Let us know what your why is, or what you thought of the episode, or we'd love to hear it. So with that, we're going to transition to this week's weekly dad joke.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
So Travis, I've been, making a concerted effort to, lose some weight, be healthy, given everything that's going on. So I thought it was huge. I burned 2,000 calories today.
Really? 2,000 calories? How'd you do that?
2,000 calories. Yeah. It turns out I left my food in the oven for too long. And that's this week's weekly dad joke. I don't know what in the world you would cook that's 2,000 calories that you would leave in your oven unless you're trying to reheat like 4 Big Macs. And if you are, that's fine. I can't think of a meal that I would make that's 2,000 calories in and of itself. But that's this week's dad joke of the week. So
loved it.
With that, I thought I did too. If you guys want to follow, I'm just going to shout this guy out. He has no affiliation to our show, but the amount of laughs he's responsible for in my life is great. On Instagram, Dad Says Jokes. That's it. Dad Says Jokes. Hilarious. Love them. That's where we pull a lot of our dad joke material. So with that,
pulling back the curtain
a little bit, transparent, so you can kind of get a lead. You'll be like, I heard that one. But just when you think you have the answers, we'll switch the questions, and in this case, the jokes. So with that, we'll move to this week's point of interest.
We have reached enlightenment. Or the point of interest. I mean, it's basically the same thing.
So Travis, this week's point of interest, man, is actually something that Christopher Kretz, shout out to him, a longtime listener. He interacts with us quite a bit on the Facebook group, which is awesome. He's also left us a review. But it's something that he posted in the Facebook group. So why don't you kind of tell us this week's point of interest?
Yeah, it's basically just kind of bringing to attention that people that have Merch by Amazon accounts, there's people stealing other people's designs and using them, not just on Merch by Amazon, but I mean, we're talking Etsy, we're talking Redbubble, we're talking all of the kind of the print on demand places where people are posting out these, unique and original t-shirt designs. Well, there are now, we suspect that they're using bots of some type, like a software or some type of macro or something that's literally ripping these designs left and right down from these different sites and then turning around and posting them as their own on Merch by Amazon or Etsy or Redbubble or TeePublic or any of these other different sites that you can post your own work on. And so his question was like, is bringing attention to this a good thing or a bad thing? And And I don't really have an answer to whether it's a good thing or a bad. I think anytime you shed the light on an issue, it causes some type of a response from the people that are either A, causing the issue, or B, having the issue done to them.
Sure.
And so I think, we in the article, there's like a response from Amazon, which is, I think, good to have them, hey, this is happening. What are you going to say? And it kind of shone a light on, kind of the dark, seedy underbelly of Amazon, which, Amazon's pretty big. So there's a pretty big, dark, seedy underbelly of that mammoth company. And being that, me and you, we've sold on Amazon, not just in Merch by Amazon, but in FBA and, all of these other programs that they've had out there. There is a lot of this, not just in the Merch by Amazon community, but Amazon in and of itself has a huge problem with copycats and copyright infringement and trademark infringement and all of these things on their site that they've been dealing with seemingly for years,
seemingly forever. Yeah. So this is the response that was cited in the article. It came via email to Motherboard, which I'm assuming is the publication that kind of shed light on this. This was on the article itself is Vice, as a Vice News article, but it says an Amazon spokesperson told Motherboard in an email that we have robust vetting procedures in place for participation in Merch by Amazon, as well as pre-publishing moderation to prevent infringing content from ever being published. If we find, or anyone reports an infringement that we did not identify, we move quickly to take it down, investigate, and remove the item from merch and pursue the appropriate legal action. So here's the thing. And in that same article, they kind of say it's kind of like the guilty till proven innocent. And the flip side of that coin is that someone else, which has happened to us, I'm sure it's happened to you listening, if you do any kind of Merch by Amazon or POD selling, someone can come along and just claim that a third of your designs are actually his, and Amazon will take action without actually doing the due diligence to find out if that's at all factually accurate. And then all of a sudden you're hit with IP claims that this person doesn't even have any actual validation or claim to. So that it's like this weird balance, because we've gone through stuff of like, there's no way you can copyright that. That's not even possible. But you also have, trademark pirates who kind of sit on trademarks or just for whatever reason, bullies that try to get people's stuff taken down so that they have, the sole design or whatever they think. But what do you think about Amazon's response, and then what we're talking about, the flip side of that coin?
I mean, Amazon is in a tough spot because they don't want to get in the middle of all of this arbitration and he said, she said and stuff, because they don't really want to spend the legal dollars on that. So I mean, it makes sense that they would just say, if somebody reports it, we take it down because we don't want to get in the middle of it, and you guys figure it out yourselves, and whoever wins, and we don't care. We're making, millions of dollars on, the other 20 gajillion shirts on Amazon or whatever, that are original or don't have anybody saying that they're, infringing. But, the one thing that I will say for Amazon and their whole policy, it does frustrate me when someone that I feel like there should at least be some type of a check to see if the particular category that has been copywritten is applicable to the product that is on merch that is being taken down, because there's oftentimes where someone will trademark or copyright something and it'll be, for a product that's not anywhere near the merch space, but they'll get a takedown on that for some strange reason. And it's really, really bizarre. And, I mean, both of us, we're not really in merch. And, we've told you that I have a merch account, but I'm not really active in the community or trying to really populate that account. It's just kind of there. But I do hear some of those horror stories and such. So we did have Ken Reel back early season 1. And he's we need to have him back on again, but he's great with this stuff. He really understands some of this stuff. But I think like you said, it's like this whole flip side. There's two sides of this coin. There's the people, that get your stuff taken down and you're like, oh man, that's not fair because this wasn't in the right category. Or how do you trademark, this particular phrase? It's a common phrase, or it's been in use for years and years and you can't claim first use. Right. But on the other side, there are these people that are actually pirating original designs. And to me, and we talked a little bit about this, I think and the article even mentions it, a very, very simple solution to this entire thing is a watermark on the listing picture. It's very simple. And not only Amazon, but Etsy and Redbubble and all of these other companies, all they have to do is put a freaking watermark on it. And immediately that piracy goes down 99%. Because I'm sure somebody can figure out a way to take the watermark out at some point, but it's going to be a lot harder, to get those images up there in a pirated way. Right. So there really is kind of two sides to this. And, it's a really hard place that Amazon, Merch by Amazon, Redbubble, Etsy, all of these companies are in, because on the one side, they want to have original content. I mean, they say that, they state that in their terms of service, and they punish those that they find that infringe that. But on the other hand, they don't want to be in the business of arbitration, between a seller and, a content producer or whatever. They don't want to get into that game. So it's a really hard place to be. I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No. Yeah. Like I said, it definitely is a tension, right? And I think Amazon's doing as much as they can, just because we understand, like you said, there's millions of other shirts that this isn't an issue on. They're just going to, it's not necessarily always that the squeaky wheel gets the grease here with Amazon. It's just kind of like, fight amongst yourselves and we don't really care. So, but it is frustrating. And for those, we mentioned Ken Reel, he was episode 9 of the Print on Demand cast. You guys can go back and listen to him, his advice on this whole copyright, kind of area. And we do need to have him back on because there's lots more to talk about. But episode 9, for those that are listening and are interested in more to learn more about that'd be the episode to go to. So with that, we'll wrap up this week's point of interest and move directly to this week's main event.
You're now listening to the soothing beats of the main event.
So Travis, you and I, obviously the listeners know we have our own production space, but there's, we do print on demand fulfillment for a lot of people, but there's a lot of providers out there. There's lots of options when it comes to print on demand services. So for this main event, we wanted to let you, the listener, know that, 5-6 things ish that Travis and I think is important to look for in a print on demand service. So we're going to kind of do like a countdown our weekly top 6. So I think there's 6. Yeah, there's 6 here. So little different numbers on top 5 or top 10, but we're going to go with 6. So Travis, tell the listeners here one of the things that we think is imperative to look for when choosing a print on demand service.
Yeah, I think you could probably put any of these 6 as number 1.
Sure.
But because they're all really important, but I think as we were formulating this list, I think that good quality or quality products, quality prints, quality, final goods, if you will, to your customers, that's going to be probably
huge.
Yeah. If not number 1, it should be in your top few for
like
sure.
1A, if not 1A. Like if you have to break up the 1. But good quality is where your brand, your business lives and dies. You can have a large product range. I'm going to kind of jump the shark here, but you can have any of the other of these 6, but if they're not good quality, you'll never get another customer. Yeah. So I think that's why, good quality has to be paramount. 1A, like I said, because that's where your bread's buttered, man. It's got to look good.
Yeah. If it doesn't, like you said, they won't come back. And it's not just necessarily the print quality, the actual like what it looks like on the shirt or on the hat or whatever. It's also the actual garment you're using. You know, and I think this goes to a lot of different areas, because you could take this further and like say, well, okay, well, maybe I want to sell a cheaper item or a less expensive item, a lesser quality item. And that's totally fine. I just think that if you do that, you need to absolutely disclose that with all due diligence, you know, to your customer, that, hey, the reason this is so cheap is because it's a less quality, you know, and this is why. It's also because when we're specifically talking about garments, we've talked about this in the past, you know, there are lesser priced garments and there are more expensive priced garments, but the lesser priced garments can actually have benefits to them that the higher price garments don't, to certain people if they want them. Like when I print for a landscaper, I'm not giving him a tri-blend, you know, because it's going to, you know, like a 4 ounce,
it's completely
4 ounce tri. It's not gonna, it's going to rip or what, you know, whatever. I'm going to probably get him like, you know, a 5.5 to 6.5 ounce, you know, a heavy weighted shirt that's going to be more, it's probably going to be harder, and, you know, it's going to be a little more boxy, so it's not super snug and making him hot all day, and, you know, so I mean, there's a lot of things like that you have to consider when you're talking about quality. But again, I'll just stress that if you are going to choose to go either way, honestly, you just really need to just, you know, kind of share that with your customer, really, really detail that out on your detail page.
Yeah, 100%. There's nothing worse than, you know, ordering a shirt that is in getting something that's lesser quality than you anticipated, whether it's whether even, you know, even if it's unset or not. I mean, if I order a shirt and it comes, because I like, you know, this is a next level shirt. I like the feel of the next levels, the soft styles. So if I order a shirt and it doesn't tell me that it's going to be a Gildan 5000, I'm not going to be stoked about it, and I probably won't buy from that person again. And also let them know, hey, you need to clarify what kind of shirt I'm getting, because I just spent money on something I'm never going to wear again. So that's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, I was just going to say that's exactly what happened to me. A couple years ago, I bought a shirt for what is it? St. Patrick's Day. And it was just one of those Facebook things that came through. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so hilarious. I love it. It's perfect. That's me. It's whatever. And it was, you know, it was like $25 or something. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to buy it. And even though I probably could have figured out a way to, like, you know, make something similar or whatever, it was just so perfect. I just was like, oh, I'm just going to do it. It's $25. And it came, and the shirt, not only was the shirt like, you know, kind of a not a nice shirt. It was a low quality shirt. The print was like not right. It was like low. No. It was like low. And I'm like, I'm never going to wear this. This is a crap shirt. It's not, you know, it's that goes to quality, right? Yeah. Not just the garment, but the print too. Yeah. Yeah. Print placement is huge. There's sometimes, you know, we've been hiring some new production staff, and there's some stuff, whether it's a screen print transfer or whether it's a print, that I'll see. And if it's too low or if it's too high, for whatever reason, it is one of my pet peeves. And if I see it, I'll be like, I need to know who ran this, and I need to have a discussion with them, because if you hold that shirt up and you think that placement looks good here or here, we need to have a really long conversation about, you know, quality. So all of that goes in, and that's why I think also samples are super important too. So whatever, you know, POD fulfillment company you're using, see if you can get some samples, maybe mark down the price, order some yourself before you start blasting it out super heavy, just so you know exactly what will be going to your customer. So I think, you know, again, goes without saying, but we spent quite a bit of time saying it. Quality is very, very, very important and is paramount to the rest of the 6 that we're going to get to. So with that said, let's go to number 2, Travis. A large product range is something that is very important to look for from, you know, so you just don't want someone that just does t-shirts or just does hats, or you want someone that can kind of fulfill all of the necessary, water bottles, mugs, cups, phone, you know, the stuff that people are going to be using even more than a t-shirt. Let's say you got to make sure that product range is wide enough that you can kind of get something everyone would want, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's a balance on this too. I think some designs aren't going to look good on a water bottle. Some designs aren't going to look good on an embroidered hat. So if you have a brand that you're trying to establish, maybe it's a clothing brand. So why do you even care about drinkware at all? You're probably not going to, you might eventually come to that place. But I think a large product range in the niche that you are trying to kind of conquer with your brand, it is probably a better way of saying this. But like for me, like a lot of our designs, I want to put them on every freaking thing I can. I'm going a mile wide and an inch deep, every single niche I can get in. And I want to have different products in all, of all these different designs. And, so for me, yes. But I think there are some people that really want to focus on, they want a quality apparel
your
line,
your goal is to just maximize the assets that you already have as far as art goes and all that other, and just blast it out on,
as many places as
just
I can.
Whatever is that it looks good. Yeah, as many places as you can. But I understand what you're saying as far as if you have someone that's trying to do like a niche clothing brand that Bella and Canva, like the really nice, very carefully curated designs and garments and stuff like that. But it would be good to have the ability to have a t-shirt, a racerback tank, a crop top hoodie, things that you can use to your advantage, like you said, inside the niche that you're operating in. So that is a good way to think about it, as opposed to just he with the most toys wins or most product offerings wins,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's pretty, that's pretty self-evident, to have a large product range is better than having a small product range. When you're going to choose a supplier but again, that I would put quality over that. I would rather have a few great products than a whole bunch of crap.
Again, it's for some people, it's the in and out thing. They have three items on their menu and they crush it. So, but when you want a good cheeseburger, you're going to go to In-N-Out and not Whataburger. But that's a different episode. So, moving on to
sorry, Texas listeners.
Yeah, sorry. We're going to log into Anchor on the back end and see that our Southern demographic has just gone straight through the shitter because I just did Whataburger. Oh, man. Come back. I need to try it again, see if I can change my mind. But again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So number 3, Travis, something that is very important. And given what has happened in the last year with COVID and all that kind of stuff, man, it's kind of hard to even nail down these delivery times is number 3, delivery times. And some of that has just been so jacked. You have some of the big providers that are taking a month and a half to 2 months to get stuff processed into the customer, and that, a little bit out of the control, but delivery times are important because outside of something like we've witnessed in the last year, you want your customer to get them in a reasonable amount of time. And again, I think this is also managing expectations, because I've run into it. I'm sure you have too, where people who buy things from you that's not on Amazon, or buy things from a client of ours that we're fulfilling for, Amazon's kind of created this entitled Prime culture that's like, if it's not in there, if it's not next day shipped or 2 days shipped, then I'm going to leave a bad review. Again, managing expectations on your listing. But delivery time, Travis, talk to me a little bit about that, and why you think that is something, why you think it's important to be something that people look for in a POD service.
I think, it's not necessarily having the fastest delivery time. Again, I think, you have to rank these things. And I still go back to quality being the most important. If I'm going to get something great quality and it's going to take a little bit longer than the garbage t-shirt or whatever, and they're going to get it really fast, I'm probably going to go with the longer delivery time. I think the more important thing is that you totally understand those delivery times, and you understand, they have these items in stock. And so on their stock items, they're going to be this line. If they have to order them, then they're at the mercy of their supplier, on these other colors or these other styles or whatever. And so it's going to take maybe a little longer. And so just having the ability to understand those things, you can then set your customer expectations and maybe even your expectations as far as like, okay, well, I used to sell this on Purple, but I really only sold like a couple.
Sure.
and they don't have that in that color in stock. So I guess I'll pull that listing so I can have a quicker delivery time. It'll
Right.
inform you and your approach to how and what colors and what styles and things like that you want to list based on what their stock items versus their non-stock items are, and the delivery times, that are associated with those items.
Yeah. That's pretty much it, man. You crushed the delivery time and the importance of it.
Well,
anything else to say? It's just,
come on.
That was
me.
Succinct.
I had a whole vacation.
I was like
so
you're
refreshed.
That's like a closing argument at the end of a legal drama, is what that was. That was almost as good as the Cousin Vinny closing legal argument from Marissa Tomei. Everything that guy just said. Anyway, I love that movie. Number 4, Travis, platform
My cousin Vinny
options. My cousin
Vinny, just a shout
out.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, I love that movie. How in the whole grit-eating world does it take 3 minutes? Fantastic. Number 4, platform integration options. Very, very important to look at because, again, it just gives you need to know, 1, can they integrate with your platform, first of all? And 2, if you're wanting to sell on multiple platforms, it's easy if you're just getting it all fulfilled from the same supplier that can integrate with all of those platforms that you're already currently selling on. And it just kind of, streamlines the whole process. Again, we'll go back to quality. They can integrate with all the platforms in the world, but if it's not good quality, it's not going to do you any good. So platform integration options, man, I think is something you definitely want to keep it out for, especially for the big ones like Amazon, Etsy, Walmart, or even if you have your own private site, Shopify, stuff like that. So I think that's something that is, again, kind of a given. Like, you want it to integrate with as many platforms as possible.
Yeah. And I'll say one other thing about this. So I know there are some, like Printful, for instance, I believe the way they integrate with a lot of these, or I'm sorry, I'll back up a second. There's a lot of softwares or whatever that'll help you, list a bunch of your items, and they'll shoot through them all. And what they do is they basically publish them all to Printful, and then they use Printful's integrations to push them all out. But the downside to that is that you don't have any control over a lot of those, a lot of your SKUs, a lot of where these things are going, how they're published. You may have some control, and that may be fine for you. But if you ever want to go to a place that Printful, for instance, doesn't integrate to, like Walmart, or maybe there's some other places out there that they don't integrate, and not to say that they won't tomorrow. They may integrate with Walmart tomorrow, but there's other places that they may not having all of that data kind of collated and ready to go. It may be doing you a disservice, even though it's a pain in the butt to get it all done together. And, I talk a lot about organizing your SKUs and your designs and, your products and all of that stuff. And, I'm just beating that drum again, because when you do use some of these integrations, you kind of get left, it lets you off the hook a little bit on some of your organization. But then the unfortunate part is that you're dependent on that particular platform or that particular software that's helping you get on those platforms. So you just want to think about that stuff. And like we always say, treat this like a business and do the hard work up front. Even if you still want to use that, just make sure that the way you're using it is a way that makes sense to when that particular service isn't available to you anymore, or something changes, that you can then do it all manually if you have to. Figure it out yourself if you have to. And so those are some, or if you want to switch, oh my gosh, Printful is just killing me on these fees. They keep raising. I have this other place that's great quality, blah, blah, blah. Their pricing's lower. I need to switch, but I can't because it's all integrated into Printful, and I don't have any data to really go. And so I'm trapped. And I have heard that from sellers. They're like, man, I started with Printful and now I'm stuck, and they keep raising their prices, and it really is frustrating. I wish I can't be competitive because whatever, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. But platform integration options, but then platform integration flexibility, I think, is kind of maybe a sub point of this particular bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's good advice to always have a contingency, right? Like you said, if tomorrow Printful doesn't integrate with that platform, or, you treat it like, if I don't think it's going to happen, but if a Printful were to go away or it'd have to shut down a brand or whatever would happen, you always have to have that contingency of, if I have to keep the ability to be fluid and move from place to place. And then again, that just allows you, in the event of trying to price shop or whatever, to be able to plug in and integrate with someone so much easier. So just do the work on the front end. And I can tell you that from experience, because we didn't do a lot of that work on the front end, and then trying to do that work midstream, even owning a production facility. And I'm sure it's just the same as when you're trying to integrate with a new print provider, is crazy. So the work that you put in on the front will definitely pay off in the long run. Number 5, Travis, something you and I talk a lot about, something I think that as ourselves, as producers, as print shop owners, this kind of helps you set yourself apart from some of the other POD services. But customer service is huge. The ability to, as you're looking for a print provider, can you reach out to them? Are they responsive? Do they get to you within a reasonable window of time? Can you call them? Can you talk to them? Do you get straight answers? Or is it, sometimes how with Amazon, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing? Like, you need to know what that process is like, because when the customer comes to you with a complaint and you're not actually physically overseeing the production of the process, you're left beholden to the print provider's response time. And so the longer you have to wait, the longer your customer has to wait, which again is a bad quality customer service quality experience for the customer, the end user, which is ultimately who you're trying to get an answer for. So customer service is definitely something you want to make sure meets your criteria, whatever that looks like. If you don't care, if they don't reach out to you in a week, then cool. But whatever that looks like for you, you need to make sure that whatever service you're choosing provides quality customer service for sure.
Yeah, and I think some of the bigger companies like a Printful and a Printify and some of the other Gutens, and I think they've heard the message loud and clear that they need to be really good with customer service. Last year during the pandemic, when in Q4 when it was taking 4 to 6 weeks, I mean, they got destroyed in those customer service threads, and I think they kind of probably took that and really internalized that and said, okay, we need to be better at this. We need to have more systems in place. I know Gear Bubble recently had a whole thing where they were like, they listed all of their products and said, this is how much time it'll take, or on average right now for the last 7 days or whatever. It was something along those lines. So they were trying to, again, just be more communicative with their customers. Yeah.
And that's more of managing expectations too, right? So
exactly.
If there's an FAQ page like that, and you have access to it, and it's changing and updating as needed. When a customer reaches out to you and you're using a Gear Bubble and they're like, hey, where's my pop socket or where's my phone case? You can look and see, oh, well, as of right now, this is what our production facility is saying, whatever that looks like. But that getting out ahead of it is almost just as important as your response time.
Yeah. And I think also in customer service, you can kind of preemptively be on top of that by just creating some really nice templates. How many times have you been asked, where's my pop socket? Where's my phone case? Where's my t-shirt? Why do you keep typing that same email out and copying that tracking number, that you got and typing it out and doing it all and then signing it? Why do you keep doing that? Why don't you have templates? Maybe you do, but you get my point. You can kind of be proactive. And then as you come across different, things, you're like, oh, wow, that's another issue. I have a list of templates that I use when people ask me different questions. Hey, I don't know where it is, but it's delivered. Okay, well, there's that template. I never got it, but it's delivered. But tracking says it's delivered. I didn't get it. Tracking says it's lost. Here's a template. It broke. Here's a template. All of these different things, or I don't like it. How do I return this? There's a template. Right. So I think, having some of that, you won't even necessarily need to go to that third party production partner if you can kind of, and it'll save you time, typing that out again. But it really is, it's kind of a three-way thing. You've got, your customer, you've got your print partner, and you've got yourself, and you're right in the middle. And so, you know, being able to get real answers in real time, or at least in a relatively decent amount of time, is important. And I will say that there are some print shops. I know you've dealt with them, Josiah, you know, and we've, you know, just kind of in the community, maybe contracting work or whatever. They're bad at customer service. There are some local print shops that are just bad at it. They're not good at returning phone calls. They're not good at this. And so unfortunately, it you know, you kind of have to get into that relationship before you can really see that a lot of times. But if you can kind of know up front, or maybe have a recommendation by somebody, it can go a long way to saving you some heartache and some pain further down the road when you have those issues. Yeah.
And I'll just say too, just like with the, you know, platform integration options we were talking about, not letting that make you lazy as far as doing the work and preempting and being organized. For as far as customer service goes, yes, it's important, the quality that they give you, the print on demand provider you're using, but don't let that, like Travis was saying, don't let that make you lazy in your responsibility of customer service to your customer. So if you just follow suit with the POD platform provider and they're not good, it doesn't mean that you have to be bad at customer service. You can still pacify and kind of massage the situation while trying to get answers. But if you're proactive in that, when customer service issues come up, you won't get the bad review. Because you're trying to keep them happy, right? And then you can go leave a bad review for the print-on-demand provider, which is who deserves the bad review in the first place, not you. So save yourself some heartache there. Don't let it make you lazy. So finally, number 6, pricing. And when we say pricing, we're talking about goods and also the cost of shipping, because obviously the customer is going to pay both of those things. You're going to be paying both of those things as well. So pricing, man, give me your thoughts on what to look for when it comes, and things to keep in mind when it comes to pricing, when you're looking at what the pricing is from your print-on-demand provider.
I think you take all of those things that we just talked about, those other 5, and you've got to be able to take all of those and then say and feel comfortable about the price that they're giving you. I mean, you can go out all day and find the cheapest.
Sure.
You know, but it's probably going to be lacking. You know, there's that there's that triangle, and it's like quality, price, and what's the other one? Service, I think, or something. Oh, gosh, do you know what I'm talking about? I shouldn't have said anything because I'm going to have to look this up.
I'm almost
and everyone's like yelling at their radio right now. It's speed. Speed is the other one. So it's like speed, cost, and quality. And people say you have to pick 2. You know, do you want it done fast at a low cost? Well, it's going to be low quality. Well, do you want it really good quality and you want a low cost? Well, it's not going to be done quickly. You know, do you want it done quickly at high quality? Well, it's not going to be low cost. You know, and so you have to kind of pick and choose a little bit and make this decision on your own. And then obviously take into consideration your shipping, because while you may charge shipping to your customer, a lot of these print-on-demand platforms will give you a boost in their algorithm if you provide free shipping. And I'm doing the air quotes for free shipping because we know that there is no such thing as free shipping. Someone's paying it. Right. And if you're offering free shipping, you are. So you're baking that into your cost. And so you need to know what that is, because it's not just the price of the coffee mug or the t-shirt. It's the price of the shipping plus that. So if you can get all that together and then offer free shipping, maybe that's a good strategy for you. Or again, you can pass that on to your customer. And I see you just brought up that triangle for us. So you want to talk a little bit more about that?
It's like a triangle Venn diagram, which I've never seen before, but I'm wildly impressed and fascinated by it. So you talked about cost, speed, and quality. So here it just kind of breaks down for you. Like you said, if you want it fast and good, it's going to be expensive. If you want it to be cheap and quick, it's not going to be great quality. But if you want cheap and high quality, it's going to be it's not going to be fast. It's a low priority. Yeah. So So yeah, you do have to pick two, and it's kind of managing your own expectations as well. Like you said, the idiom that you get what you pay for is definitely applicable, and understanding too. I've run into some people who use us as print on demand providers, and they're wondering why can't we get $5 or $6 a shirt? It's like, well, you're not going to find any print on demand provider that can give you $5 a shirt for a one-off, unless it's like 99 cents a shirt or whatever. Yeah. So keep in mind too, you're going to be, there's a lot baked into the cost when you're talking about one-offs and the labor and time it takes to produce it. So you do have to pick two that you're going to be happy with and kind of just be settled with that. So, but it is important, because again, that determines how much you can actually make. Right. And how much of the pie you get to take home, basically. So,
yeah. And I think the other thing to keep in mind is that, when you're saying, well, you have those customers, and as a production facility, we do have customers that are like, oh, well, I thought I could get it for, $6 or $7 or whatever. And the fact of the matter is that print on demand businesses that use a production facility are taking none of the risk. The production facility is the one who's buying the machines, stocking blank inventory. They have cash on their shelves waiting and hoping and praying that you make an order. And so it's not just, well, how much did the shirt cost? Well, how much does the ink cost? Well, and then you have a little labor and that's it. No, there's also another factor called risk. Yeah. and that is there's actual like mathematical formulas for factoring risk into your profit margins. And that's something that you, as the print on demand business owner who's using a facility, doesn't have to necessarily. You may have to factor in a risk factor because you are on the hook for that order or whatever. You might lose your Etsy account, whatever. But it's a much smaller, number, I guess. Comparatively. Yeah. And so if you're saying, well, I want to make more money than my print provider, and I've gone to, the shirt place, the wholesale shirt, and I know how much ink costs for this design and blah, 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 blah. You are not the type of customer that a lot of print facilities are going to want to use, and so it may make sense for you to go with, somebody who is kind of a faceless company like a Printful or a Printify, but you're not probably going to find those prices at a place where, and this is kind of a little bit of a rant, but I think you get the idea behind it. There is something to be said for paying somebody to kind of hold all of the inventory for you. Yeah. And when you happen to sell something, they do all the work. There's a value in that is, that you need to consider, I guess, when you're looking at print on demand. Print on demand is amazing. And there's, it's a fast growing industry, and there are going to be massive companies that continue to undercut, and prices will go down, because just like every other industry in the world, as time goes on, prices go down. But there will always be an inherent risk that you are paying that provider for. And I just wanted to make, kind of keep that in mind as you're shopping around, because that's a real thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. If you're fulfilling for your Etsy store, well, if your Etsy store, gets closed down or whatever, then that's unfortunate for you. But then your print provider now is holding all of those next levels that you exclusively wanted to print on, or all of those. Like, there's just so much risk, and it gets to a point where you're right. Like, well, if you want to make more money than your print provider, then you might need to pony up the 18 grand and buy yourself a printer and make your money that way. You know what I mean? Like, you can control your prices then, but until you're willing to take the risk that your print provider is taking, then you're going to have to be okay with making whatever less is in your mind, which in some instances, it's not even that much of a, especially if it's not merch by Amazon. Merch by Amazon takes a lot of money out of your a lot of the pie away from you. But it's a great point, man, and something to definitely keep in mind with your print providers, and just to keep in mind when you're talking and negotiating prices, or trying to wrap your mind around why a shirt is $12 or whatever for a one-off. Yeah. So I think that's it, man, for this week's episode, for episode 59. We've gone close to an hour talking about all of these things. So for you, the listener, we just want to say thank you once again for listening. We're glad to be back with some fresh content. Travis is back and refreshed and ready to litigate and talk about risk and print on demand and providers and shipping times. So no, it's good. It's good to have you back, Travis. Good to be recording again with you folks. Again, if you want to get in on this conversation, if you think we missed something that is important or belongs in that's the wrong bumper, but hey, grab yourself a shirt. If you want to add to this conversation, printondemancast.com/Facebook. Join the group. You can like the page. You can join the group. And the group is where we are trying to build that community and get those conversations rolling. And we're very, very thankful for you guys that are in the group and that engage with us when you do. Another good way to reach Travis and myself is info@printondemancast.com. If you have an email or it's a question you don't want the group to see or whatever that looks like for you, you can definitely email us as well, and we'll be happy to respond there. And also, if you want to be like our good friend Lorenzo-$44, $44, leave us a 5-star review if you're using the Apple Podcast app. We'll greatly appreciate that. But if you're not, if you're on Spotify or Google or Stitcher, we are wherever your podcasts are. As we like to say, wherever podcasts are, the PODcast is there for your listening pleasure. So, Travis, before we wrap this thing up and put a bow on it, anything else you want to say to the listeners?
Nope. Appreciate you all, and come back next week.
All right. There you have it, folks. For Travis, I'm Josiah. We'll see you next week right here on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.